The year is 2167, and the world has basically become a buffet for the demon clan. Humanity is on its last legs while monsters roam the streets, eating whatever they can find. Civilization as we know it is gone. The human world has completely fallen. In the middle of the wreckage, one man stands alone against the apocalypse. This is our boy, the last SSS rank hunter, pinned against a pillar of rubble in a sea of fire. He's beat up and bleeding, but even with blood dripping down his face, his eyes haven't lost their spark. Standing before him is the one responsible for all this destruction, the Demon King Glutton. This massive, horned nightmare has wiped out everything our boy ever cared about, leaving him as the final survivor. The Demon King raises a glowing red claw, ready to put an end to the very last human resistance. The monster just laughs, clearly enjoying how easy it's been to tear the world apart. But our boy isn't going down without taking this thing with him, clashing head-on with the beast's overwhelming power. Suddenly, our boy's body begins to surge with an intense, violent energy that he's never felt before. The memories of his fallen friends and his master flash through his mind, giving him the resolve for one final, desperate act. He cracks a bloody smile as lightning begins to arc across his face. He's ready to end it all. He activates his ultimate skill, Terminus Arc, pouring every last bit of his life force into a suicide attack. A blinding explosion of golden light erupts from his body, turning the entire wasteland into a white void. The Demon King can only watch in shock as the brilliance of the strike consumes it entirely. As his physical form starts to shatter like glass, our boy feels a strange sense of peace wash over him. Fragments of his life drift away, including the memory of the master who taught him everything. He sees a photo of his family one last time, wishing he had been strong enough to protect them from the start. The Demon King's silhouette fades away into the light, finally defeated. Si Chen's infinity pendant shatters into pieces, and his consciousness fades into nothingness. But then, he suddenly opens one eye. He's alive, but something is very wrong. He's got a bandage on his nose, and he feels much weaker. He finds himself lying in a clean, quiet infirmary bed, completely different from the battlefield he just left. He sits up and stares at his bandaged hand, trying to figure out if he's dreaming or if this is the afterlife. He looks around the room, confused as to why everything looks so normal. This isn't hell. Outside the window, he sees the campus of the National Awakened University, looking just as it did years ago. He stares at the students walking around, talking and laughing like the world isn't about to end. He wonders where they all came from. The shock hits him hard. These people should have been dead for years. This has to be the past. Suddenly, a holographic screen flickers in front of him, announcing that the Gluttony Power Fusion is complete. He grabs a nearby phone and his jaw drops. It's the 16th of May, 2157. He's gone back 10 years into his own past. His eyes glow a sharp red as he realizes he's been given a second chance, and this time, he has a mysterious system to help him. Visions of the horrific future flash through his mind, the tentacles and the shadows of the demon clan that destroyed his home. He remembers the overwhelming silhouettes of the demons that humanity couldn't hope to match. He recalls the day the total annihilation began, when the Demon Kings first appeared and turned the world into a graveyard. But now that he's back, he knows he has 10 years to prepare. He's gonna stop the gates of hell from ever opening. He stares at the Gluttony Power interface, wondering how he ended up with the abilities of the very Demon King he defeated. He pulls up his status window and is shocked to see that his base attributes are all at a perfect 100, despite being level 1. His strength, speed, and elemental power are off the charts for a student. He's already a monster in a human skin. The system shows a variety of elemental paths, but there's one that he knows better than any other. He remembers being a weakling in his original life, a student who was constantly beaten down by the university bullies. He realizes that a brutal beating yesterday is probably why he's in the infirmary today. It's a reminder of how things used to be. But things are different now. He can access his future class through the system's class switching mechanic. He selects his SSS rank specialty, the Volt Assassin. The lightning sparks back to life in his hand, and the hunt is officially back on. Lightning crackles around Si Chen as his power begins to manifest in this new timeline. With a bandage still on his nose, he looks forward with a gaze that belongs to a veteran of 1,000 wars. He triggers the system's class switching function, ready to reclaim his peak strength. Just then, his roommate Ma Long bursts in. He's an E-rank Flora Chanter, a kind soul who didn't survive the first wave in the original timeline. He rushes over and grabs Si Chen, frantically asking if he's feeling okay after the beating he took. Si Chen realizes that nobody else can see the glowing screen hovering right in front of him. Back in the day, Ma Long was his only friend at college, always worrying about him. The roommate adjusts his glasses and looks at his friend's arm, confused by how much stronger he suddenly looks. Our boy just gives a small, knowing smile. He's not the same weakling from yesterday. Ma Long doesn't give him a choice, grabbing his shoulder to drag him out. He pulls him toward the door, insisting they get going before they're late. As they walk, Ma Long looks at him sideways, complaining that he's acting weird and saying scary things. Looking at the school grounds, our boy is already planning his moves. He knows exactly what's coming in 3 years. He needs to get strong, and he needs to do it fast. There's no time to waste on a normal college life. He pictures himself at the top again, standing over the corpses of the monsters that once destroyed the world. He recalls how the government used a simple ranking system, from S down to E, to categorize both hunters and demons. He checks his own stats again, level 1, but with attributes that shouldn't even be possible for a student. He walks through the campus with his status screen open, a hidden advantage that no one else can even dream of. He wonders what rank he'd actually get if he went for an official assessment right now. Suddenly, a basketball flies through the air and slams right into Ma Long's face. Sitting on a nearby bench is the guy who threw it, Gong Cheng, the school's notorious bully. Gong Cheng just sits there with a smug grin, clearly enjoying himself. Ma Long immediately starts apologizing while clutching his face, but the bully just demands that they go buy him drinks. Our boy stands his ground, his eyes turning a dangerous red as he stares down the man who used to make his life a living hell. He remembers this guy all too well. Gong Cheng was the reason he ended up in the infirmary in the first place. A memory of being held underwater flashes back the feeling of helplessness and the sound of the bully's laughter. In the original timeline, Ma Long was always the one begging for mercy, while Si Chen took the brunt of the abuse. Gong Cheng used to love the feeling of power he got from crushing those weaker than him. It wasn't just physical. It was a constant cycle of humiliation that Si Chen had to endure for years. His friends would just stand by and laugh, treating the assault like a spectator sport. The old Si Chen would have just looked at the ground and wondered why this was happening to him. Gong Cheng looks back with that same arrogant expression, expecting his victims to crawl away like they always do. He stands up and activates his power, his arm glowing with the green energy of an E-rank Flora warrior. To everyone else, he's a big shot, but our boy knows that his actual combat abilities are pathetic. The students watching from the sidelines start whispering, laughing about how the useless duo is about to get wrecked again. Gong Cheng looms over him, his face twisted with contempt as he prepares to finish what he started yesterday. He screams that they clearly need another beating and throws a heavy, energy-reinforced punch. But our boy doesn't flinch. He catches the bully's fist with his bare hand, stopping him dead in his tracks. The crowd goes silent. Nobody can believe that the school's biggest loser just blocked a powered-up strike. Our boy looks at him with cold, dead eyes. The onlookers are frantic, wondering how an unawakened guy is doing this. Then, he fully activates the Volt Assassin class. Lightning explodes around him, illuminating the entire field. Ma Long can barely stammer out a word, his mind blown by the sudden transformation of his friend. Gong Cheng lunges forward, his pride refusing to let him back down after such a humiliating display. Our boy is faster, a blur of lightning that closes the distance in the blink of an eye. The impact is brutal, a heavy blow that instantly silences the bully's arrogant screams. The force of the strike sends Gong Cheng spiraling through the air, completely outmatched. Ma Long and the other students are frozen in shock, unable to believe what they're witnessing. Silence falls over the courtyard as Si Chen stands victorious, arcs of electricity still dancing around his frame. He looks like a different person entirely, his presence now cold, commanding, and dangerous. Gong Cheng staggers back to his feet, blinded by rage and promising to kill the man who just shamed him. But Si Chen is already on him again, his fist glowing with the intense light of his lightning-infused power. Another strike lands with devastating force, shattering Gong Cheng's defenses and sending him crashing into the wall. It's over. The bully slumps to the ground, unconscious and bloodied. His reign of terror ended in seconds. Ma Long watches with wide, terrified eyes, barely able to reconcile this warrior with his quiet roommate. Si Chen ignores the crowd's reaction, his focus shifting back to the blue system window hovering in his vision. Even at level 1, his attributes are maxed out, providing the perfect foundation to reclaim his former glory. He looks down at the defeated Gong Cheng, seeing not an enemy, but just another small step on his long journey. With his power finally returning, he stares into the distance and wonders if this timeline will truly be different. Our boy wasn't pulling any punches. He gripped Gong Cheng by the collar while lightning surged through his hand, making sure everyone saw that the school's punching bag was gone for good. Just as he was about to do more damage, someone stepped in. He dropped the bully and started to walk away, ignoring the eyes on his back. The student council vice president was watching the whole thing go down. She's one of the top players in the academy, and she doesn't usually get involved in petty fights. She warned him that, even if he was in the right, taking it that far on school grounds was a bad move. Our boy didn't look back. He knew that if he didn't strike fear into them now, they'd never stop coming for him. The crowd cleared a path as he walked through, whispering about the trash student who suddenly became a monster. One of the students tried to keep up, but our boy just kept moving without a word. The vice president watched him go with a curious look, clearly sensing that something fundamental had changed about the boy. Back at the dorms, the news was already spreading like wildfire. This guy was losing his mind trying to convince everyone that our boy had actually awakened. But his roommates weren't buying it. Meet Xiang Zuo, a ranky core mage who figured it was all just a fluke. Then there's Xiang Yo, another E-ranker. He was too busy at his computer to care, dismissing the whole fight as a lucky break. To them, a trash student awakening as a high-tier Volt assassin was nothing more than a ghost story. Xiang Zuo just couldn't wrap his head around it. A guy like our boy suddenly having that kind of power didn't make any sense. While they gossiped, the real power players were finishing up their training at the academy's demon lair. This is Gong Ting, the student council president and Gong Cheng's older brother. In this school, he's basically untouchable. He walked out of the portal like it was just another day at the office, his presence alone commanding respect. He spotted his brother waiting nearby, looking like he'd been through a meat grinder. Gong Cheng was fuming, his face covered in bandages. He told his brother that our boy had humiliated him in front of everyone and didn't show them any respect. Gong Ting didn't seem impressed. To him, someone like Si Chen wasn't even worth noticing. He asked if the guy was actually strong or if his brother had just gotten sloppy. The vice president reminded him that they'd already recruited all the elite students into their club, so one lucky kid shouldn't be a threat. But Si Chen wasn't resting. He was out in the pouring rain, pushing his body to the breaking point. He was running 20 kilometers with 100 kilograms strapped to his back, knowing his current body couldn't handle his true potential yet. His mind drifted back to the year 2160, when the world he knew was erased in an instant. He remembered the city burning, and the sight of his sister, Xiao Yun, dying in his arms while he could only watch. It was all because of the Demon King Wrath. That name was carved into his soul, a reminder of everything he lost. He has 3 years before the nightmare begins again. This time, he won't be a victim. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. It was a message from Xiao Yun, the sister he'd watched die a decade ago. He stopped dead in the middle of the rain, staring at the screen like it was a hallucination. He slowly picked up, his heart racing as he heard her voice for the first time in this life. Hearing her laugh, healthy and full of life, nearly broke his composure. He smiled through the tears, promising himself he'd protect this peace at any cost. He got back to his training with a new fire. 3 more laps. He wouldn't stop until he was ready for what was coming. Later that night, while his roommates were dead to the world, Si Chen stayed awake. He washed off the grit of the day, the steam masking his cold, focused expression. He knew the elites had a monopoly on all the good training spots, but he had a secret weapon they couldn't touch. He laid down and closed his eyes, letting the system take over. In an instant, the world shifted. He was dropped into a void of red mist and jagged shadows. He stood before the Demon Tower, a massive, ominous structure rising into a crimson sky. This was the Gluttony Space, a place where he could level up without anyone ever knowing. The locals didn't take long to show up. A pack of rank E direhounds emerged from the mist, looking for their next meal. The system interface flashed to life, preparing to switch his class for the battle ahead. He still didn't have all the answers, but as he prepped his lightning, one thing was clear: the hunt was on. The direhounds didn't stand a chance. Si Chen tore through the pack, his lightning leaving nothing but scorched earth behind. As the monsters fell, the system pinged him. He just snagged 3 fangs of doom, but he wasn't here for the loot. He was here for the power. Every strike felt more natural, his body finally catching up to his battle-hardened mind. He could feel the lightning hum under his skin. This wasn't just a dream space. It was a real opportunity to grind for the strength he desperately needed. His level jumped to 2. His stats were climbing, but it still wasn't enough to face the threats he knew were coming. He didn't just want to be strong, he wanted to be untouchable. Another pack of beasts fell under his blade. He was farming EXP like a pro, hitting level 3 inches record time. His strength and speed were already doubling, but the real prize was still waiting on the blood-soaked ground. The boss hound was down, and a new message flashed. It was devourable. Si Chen's eyes flared. This was the moment that would change everything. Red energy swirled around him as he began to consume the fallen boss. It was a dark power, but he didn't care as long as it worked. The system finalized the process. He had just stolen the identity of the Doomfang King. He held a second-class card in his hand, Cloud Warrior. This was impossible. Normal people only get 1 class for life. The energy fused into him, a cold, sharp power that contrasted perfectly with his lightning. He looked at his own reflection in the red mist. He was breaking every law of this world, and he was just getting started. If he could do this once, he could do it 100 times. He could become a one-man army. 2 legendary classes, already under his belt. He was rewriting his fate in real time. His eyes burned with a new hunger. He wasn't just a regressor anymore, he was becoming something else entirely. But as he looked toward the demon tower, the atmosphere suddenly shifted. A flash of blinding light hit the stairs, and a presence heavier than anything he'd felt before landed in front of him. Out of the smoke stepped a massive figure in tattered robes. Purgatory Rakshasa J had been waiting for him, and he didn't look like he was here to talk. This wasn't some rank E dog. This was an S-rank entity, a god-tier warrior that shouldn't even be in this space. Before Si Chen could even blink, he was sent flying. The impact nearly shattered his ribs as he slammed into the ground. He coughed up blood, his lightning flickering. The gap in power was staggering. He was a level 3 rookie fighting a legend. Jay stood there, towering over him. He told Si Chen that his stats were worthless compared to an S-ranks. The ghost-like warrior swung a massive scythe-like blade, moving faster than the eye could follow. Our boy barely got his arms up in time. The force of the blow was like being hit by a freight train. Jay looked down at him through the shadows of his hood, mocking him for still trying to stand. Our boy wiped the blood from his mouth, his shirt torn to shreds. He didn't come back to life just to kneel before some specter. The warrior didn't seem to care. He called this a rare opportunity for our boy to learn his place. But our boy wasn't listening. He focused his mind, drawing every bit of lightning left in his core. Jay claimed he'd been patient, only because our boy was the only one who could even find this place. The whole red landscape seemed to vibrate with the sheer pressure the S-rank was putting out. The boss began to power up, his stats surging even higher until the air itself felt heavy. He gave Si Chen one last choice: stay and serve, or be crushed into nothingness. Si Chen looked him dead in the eye, his lightning crackling brighter than ever. He didn't say a word, he just charged. He wasn't going to rot in this hellhole. Jay swung his giant purple blade to end it, a strike that should have been impossible to dodge. The blade tore through the ground, missing Si Chen by an inch as he dove through the chaos. He was watching closely. Decades of combat experience were finally kicking in, helping him see through the speed. He spotted it. A tiny 0.4 second wind-up every time the giant swung. That was his only opening. This was it, the split-second window he needed. Si Chen poured every ounce of his remaining mana into his hand, the lightning crackling with desperate intensity. Electric blade! He drove the strike straight through the warrior's chest, the discharge of high-voltage energy illuminating the dark chamber in a brilliant, jagged flash. It connected. The system confirmed the hit, flashing a paralysis status as the electrical surge tore through the massive skeletal frame of his opponent. He didn't hang around to celebrate. Si Chen kicked off the ground, racing toward the pillar of light that promised an escape from this red-misted hell. But just as he reached out, the light flickered and died. He was left standing in the pitch black, his heart hammering against his ribs. A low, chilling voice echoed from the shadows behind him. Rakshasa J hadn't been hit at all, it was just an afterimage, and the exit was gone. The purple energy began to swirl and coalesce, forming a monstrous silhouette that seemed to suck the very air out of the room. Purgatory Rakshasa J stepped forward, a terrifying S-rank warrior in tattered robes. His skull-like mask and glowing blue eyes radiated a pressure that felt like lead on Si Chen's shoulders. Si Chen stared at the entity, his red eyes wide as he recognized the suffocating weight of the power being directed at him. He'd felt this exact same crushing aura once before, in the presence of the Demon King Glutton itself. Si Chen is trapped in a loop of his own death, replaying the moment the world ended over and over again. He watches his former life crumble as he falls past the massive Bone King of frozen remains. It's a nightmare of fire and blood, the exact moment his first life was snuffed out. Suddenly, the vision breaks, and he's plummeting through a strange, golden-lit sky. He lands in a desolate red void, where a colossal, horned demon is waiting for him. This is his inner world, and that monster is Purgatory Rakshasa J, standing before a giant tower. The demon doesn't attack. Instead, he tells our boy that the Demon King Glutton wiped out his entire clan. He offers a gift for their mutual enemy, the SS rank Key of Time Rift. Rakshasa J explains that the tower behind him holds the souls of the strongest demons ever devoured. He wants our boy to consume them all and turn their power into his own. Our boy takes the key, confused as to why a demon would ever choose to help a human. It's all about revenge. The Rakshasa has been waiting in eternity for someone to kill the Demon Kings. He mentions that person, but before our boy can ask who he means, the demon cuts him off. He tells Si Chen to go find the truth for himself inside the tower. To give him a head start, the demon decided to grant Si Chen a portion of his own power. Si Chen is speechless, as he feels an overwhelming energy begin to swirl around him. Rakshasa J warns him to get stronger, because the demons in that tower won't be nearly as kind. They are the most cunning and vicious things in existence, and they're waiting for him. He'll need every drop of this power if he ever hopes to wipe out those demon kings. A wisp of purple soul fire drifts towards Si Chen's chest. The system activates immediately, and the devouring process begins. A pillar of light erupts, as a surge of energy instantly pushes Si Chen to level 10. He clears the vision, and receives some high-tier loot as a reward. The absorption is complete, and the system officially unlocks the Purgatory Rakshasa class for him. Our boy snaps awake in his dorm bunk, gasping for air like he just ran a marathon. His roommates are already up, and nagging him to get dressed for the ceremony. He pulls his shirt open, and realizes every single wound from the night before has completely vanished. It definitely wasn't a dream. His stats are off the charts, and the new loot is sitting right in his inventory. Xiangzhua notices him staring into space, and walks over to see what's up. He mentions that rumors are already flying about how our boy has suddenly gotten strong. As they head out, Xiangzhua brags about being a mid-tier rank E, looking down on everyone else. He explains the school hierarchy, where even a small tier gap means a massive difference in power. Ma Long just pushes him along, telling Si Chen to go out there and shock the whole school. They arrive at the National Awakened Rank Evaluation ceremony, and the campus is absolutely buzzing. A group of thugs starts shoving people aside, acting like they own the place. The roommates realize these guys are Gong Cheng's lackeys, and they're usually bad news. Si Chen just watches them, not even remotely bothered by their presence. But the moment the bullies see his face, they drop to the ground and start begging for mercy. The roommates are baffled, wondering why these tough guys are suddenly so respectful. The tension breaks when Chiang Di, a high-ranking student council officer, makes his entrance. Everyone starts whispering in fear because Chiang Di is a rank D big shot and a notorious bully. He leans in close to Si Chen, whispering that he smells like someone destined to stay at the bottom forever. Chiang Di leans in, sneering at our boy and asking if he's some kind of dog. He looks ready to start a fight right then and there when he doesn't get the reaction he wants. But Gong Ting steps in, coolly stating that he's already looked into things and it was Gong Cheng who started the trouble. He gives our boy a long, silent look before turning his attention elsewhere. The awkward moment is cut short as the announcer calls for everyone's attention. The rank evaluation is starting. Gong Ting walks away with Chiang Di trailing behind, already dismissing our boy as a non-threat. Up in the VIP lounge, the school's top officials are settling in to watch the next generation of talent. Among them is a mysterious woman sipping tea, who seems to think today is going to be very interesting. First up for the group is Xiang Zuo, whose name and face are broadcast for the entire school to see. He steps into the testing chamber, psyching himself up to finally reveal his true strength. In front of him is the Demon Core, a biological sensor designed to drain and measure and awakens energy. Xiang Zuo lets out a roar, pouring every bit of his cultivated power into the core. The room pulses with light as the organic core drinks in the massive energy surge. A few seconds later, the screen updates to show his official rank, rank E mid-tier. The faculty monitors the stream, though they're a bit annoyed that some of the data is lagging behind. Back in the crowd, Ma Long is nearly jumping out of his skin, waiting for the final verdict. Now comes the most important part, the potential rating, which predicts how far an awakened can go. The display flickers through several ranks before finally landing on a big, glowing C. Xiang Zuo's final results are in he's a solid rank E, mid-tier with a C rank potential. He slumps against the stairs, totally dejected that he hasn't made any progress in 2 years of hard work. His friends try to cheer him up, reminding him that rank Ds are incredibly rare in this university. Suddenly, the crowd erupts into shocked gasps and frantic pointing toward the main screen. The silence of the E ranks is broken, as the first rank D talent of the year makes an appearance. Chiang Di struts across the stage, basking in the glory of his rank D lower tier, potential A score. Our boy just watches from a distance, his face a complete mask as he observes the hierarchy in action. Even the faculty are impressed, noting that seeing multiple rank D talents is a good sign for the school. Then, the name everyone's been waiting for finally booms over the loudspeakers, Gong Ting. The entire stadium goes quiet as the student council president and heir to the Imperial Guild steps into the light. Rumors fly through the crowd about how he supposedly reached rank D years ago while everyone else was still struggling. Gong Ting approaches the Demon Core, looking as composed as a veteran hunter on a routine mission. He decides to play it smart and hold back some of his power, wanting to save the real reveal for graduation. Even while holding back, his eyes ignite with an overwhelming golden aura. The testing equipment begins to whine and flicker as it tries to calculate the massive energy output. The final result freezes the entire crowd, rank D upper tier with a god tier S rank potential. A split second of silence is followed by a roar of excitement that shakes the entire stadium. The other students are in awe, chanting the president's name and celebrating a piece of school history. Ma Long is losing his mind, screaming that they're witnesses to a once-in-a-lifetime event. The scientists are over the moon, immediately deciding that this level of talent needs to be reported to the higher authorities. An awakened with S-rank potential is a national treasure that requires immediate state protection. The display confirms it again. Gong Ting is officially the highest-ranking student the school has ever produced. President Yuan Long beams with pride, looking over at the scout to see if she's sufficiently impressed. But the woman remains calm, coolly telling him that Gong Ting isn't actually the person she came here to find. The mysterious blonde woman watches with a small smile, more interested in our boy than the school's golden boy. Si Chen is called to the stage, walking calmly through the sea of whispering students. Chiang Di stops him with a condescending grin, mockingly telling him to try and bring some glory to his low-ranked dorm. He doesn't stop there, laughing as the rank E results for Ma Long and the twins appear on the display, calling them weaklings. Ma Long snaps back, yelling that our boy is going to blow everyone's minds once he starts his evaluation. Our boy ignores the noise and steps into the testing chamber, the door closing behind him with an ominous click. He stands before the demon core, the biological mass suspended by thick cables in the center of the dark room. The core's single eye dilates, as if it senses something terrifying buried deep within the young man before it. Our boy reaches out a hand, his red eyes glowing with an intensity that matches the core's own energy. For most students, this evaluation and the graduation combat exam are the only ways to secure a future with a high-level guild. The rules are simple. Form a team of up to 10 people and prove your worth on the battlefield. The ultimate prize is a direct recruitment offer from the Imperial Guild, the most prestigious organization in the nation. Chiang Di is already celebrating, having recruited all 9 of the year's Rank D students into his own personal squad. Even the student council president, Gong Ting, is part of this powerhouse team, ensuring their total dominance. In contrast, Ma Long and his roommates look completely sidelined, their low ranks making them easy targets for ridicule. Most people assume the testing is effectively over and start heading back to their dorms, still laughing at Si Chen's expense. Gong Ting begins calling his teammates together, ready to put this ceremony behind them. But then, a flicker on the main screen catches everyone's eye as Si Chen's name appears alongside a Rank D upper tier rating. The crowd goes dead silent, and the roommates' jaws drop as they stare at the impossible numbers on the display. Ma Long is the first to recover, pointing at the screen and screaming at the top of his lungs in pure ecstatic disbelief. Even the elite students are forced to turn back, their smug expressions replaced by looks of genuine confusion and alarm. Inside the chamber, alarms start blaring as the system detects the demon core entering an unstable state. Si Chen's internal interface flickers to life, showing his level 10 stats maxed out across the board. The air crackles with energy as a system message appears. Class switching in progress, and his power begins to surge. He transforms into the Doomfang King, a terrifying avatar of frost with a jagged bone mask covering half his face. The scoreboard flickers again, the rank jumping up once more to reveal a staggering Rank C mid-tier. Outside, the students are practically vibrating with shock, unable to comprehend what they are witnessing. Gong Ting stares at the screen, his eyes wide with a fear he's likely never felt before in his life. Up in the control booth, the lead researcher panics, having never seen a student's rank fluctuate so wildly during a test. The demon core's eye is wide with terror, the biological machine beginning to tremble under the pressure of Si Chen's presence. The system continues its relentless process, preparing to switch our boy into yet another specialized class. He shifts into the form of the Purgatory Rakshasa, wreathed in violet flames and ready to unleash his strongest power. The demon core is pushed to its absolute limit, the biological organ weeping as it tries to contain the energy. A massive vortex of dark, swirling energy erupts within the testing chamber, threatening to tear the room apart. The roommates cower as the ground shakes, convinced they are witnessing a literal miracle or a disaster of historical proportions. The potential section of the scoreboard glitches out, a massive S-rank symbol flickering violently against the blue background. Sweat pours down Gong Ting's face as he realizes the school has just produced another S-rank potential, one that dwarfs his own. A red warning message flashes across the screen. System error. The machinery is no longer capable of reading the data. The final warning is the most chilling. Our boy's potential value has exceeded the system's maximum measurable capacity. One of the onlookers screams in terror, his face a mask of horror, as the building begins to groan under the strain. A massive explosion of blue energy suddenly blasts out from the testing booth, shattering everything in its path. The researchers flee for their lives as the equipment begins to detonate, the power surge far beyond anything they can control. Amidst the wreckage and the smoke, researchers rush into the chamber, frantic to see if the students survive the catastrophic power surge. They stare in horror at the biological machine, its single eye glazed over as it hangs lifeless from its severed cables. Our boy stands calmly amidst the destruction, realizing that his overwhelming force was too much for the core to handle, but he senses a new power taking root within him. A system notification confirms his gain. He has absorbed the exquisite demon core, a rank A ability that grants him unparalleled insight. As the dust settles, our boy walks out of the ruins of the testing chamber, the eyes of the entire school fixed on him in stunned silence. His new ability activates, a faint blue glow flickering in his eyes as the world around him begins to reveal its hidden truths. Digital overlays bloom over every student in the crowd, stripping away their facades to reveal their true combat ranks for our boy to see. He looks at the school's star pupil, Gongting, and sees the truth. The golden boy is far stronger than he lets on, possessing a hidden rank C mid-tier rating. Nearby, the researchers are still in shock, lamenting the loss of the expensive equipment that seems to have died from sheer overwork. Ma Long and the others are overjoyed, celebrating our boy's impossible achievement and treating him like a conquering hero. The celebration is cut short as Chang Di storms over, screaming about the ruined testing schedule and demanding compensation for the wasted time. Our boy glares at the bully, his eyes flashing with a dangerous yellow light as he considers simply crushing the man where he stands. Before things can escalate, Gongting steps in, placing a hand on Chang Di's shoulder and silencing him with a sharp command to be respectful. With a polished, practiced smile, Gongting extends a hand to Si Chen, inviting him to join his elite team for the upcoming graduation combat exam. Chang Di laughs as he officially welcomes Si Chen to the school's strongest team. But our boy doesn't even stop walking, flat out telling them he's not interested. Chang Di loses it, screaming about their status while our boy just brushes him off like he's nothing. A brief flash of red in our boy's eyes shows he's definitely not the same person he used to be. The other students are in shock. Nobody has the guts to reject the student council president like that. They can't believe how brave he is for shutting down Gongting in front of everyone. Gongting keeps a polite smile on his face, acting like he's totally fine with being turned down. Nearby, an older man with a scarred face sighs, disappointed they won't be breaking any school records this year. The blonde woman next to him thinks the situation is actually much more entertaining this way. She knows that for someone like Gongting, who's had everything handed to him, this is a total declaration of war. Looking at the back of the arrogant student, she realizes he's not going to be easy to deal with. Gongting's expression hardens, already planning how to handle the guy who dared to say no. Si Chen moves on, completely ignoring the drama he just left behind at the school gate. His mind is on a major accident involving a top-tier guild that happened at a demon lair. It was a disaster that sent shockwaves through the kingdom when a powerful portal went out of control. The entire team was wiped out, letting a wave of monsters descend upon the human world. Si Chen has a plan to deal with what's coming, but he needs a lot of resources to pull it off. Step 1 is securing a massive amount of cash, so he heads straight to a local exchange. He arrives at the Mithril Monster Exchange, a place destined to become a national powerhouse in the future. The showroom is packed with high-end gear that's way out of reach for a typical student. He pulls out a few monster drops he's been carrying and tosses them onto the counter. The clerk picks up a bone shard with a look of pure confusion, wondering what a student is doing there. He admits he's never seen anything like it and asks what it even is. The assistant behind him recognizes it instantly. It's a Fang of Doom from a rank E Direhound. The clerk scoffs, annoyed that he's wasting time on low-rank trinkets when they usually handle much better gear. Si Chen doesn't even look up from his phone, letting the guy's elitist attitude slide for now. The clerk dumps the rest of the paperwork on his assistant and walks away in a huff. They finish the trade, handing over the credits in a standard exchange briefcase. 18,000 isn't a huge payday, but it's enough to cover his rent and basic expenses. But Si Chen isn't done. He pulls out a massive, glowing greatsword and tells them to take a real look. The assistant's eyes go wide. She can tell this thing is at least rank B, maybe even rank A. The clerk starts sweating as he realizes he might have just insulted a major client. A man in a suit walks up behind them, noting that this definitely isn't some mid-tier piece of equipment. The clerk tries to suck up to the boss, laughing off his earlier behavior like it was just a joke. But the boss, Qing Zhi, ignores him and identifies the weapon as S-rank from the land of purgatory. The staff are paralyzed with shock. Finding S-rank gear in a student's hands is practically impossible. Qing Zhi immediately changes his tune, shaking Si Chen's hand with a wide, friendly smile. He tells his staff to clear a path to the VIP room, promising to give him whatever he needs. Si Chen smirks to himself. His bait worked, and he finally has a heavy hitter's attention. This is Qing Zhi, the boss of the Mithril Guild's team, and the exact partner Si Chen was looking for. Once they're settled in the luxury lounge, Qing Zhi asks how he plans to handle such a legendary sword. Our boy gets straight to the point, putting a price tag of 1 million credits on it right then and there. Qing Zhi is baffled an S-rank weapon is worth tens of millions, yet this kid only wants a 1 to million loan. Our boy is dead serious, telling the boss he'll have the full amount back in just a month. The manager can't wrap his head around it. Using such high-tier collateral for a small loan isn't a move any normal student would make. He watches Si Chen take a calm sip of tea, wondering if he's dealing with a runaway rich heir or a hidden prodigy. To sweeten the deal, Si Chen even offers to add 10% interest if he misses his repayment deadline. Sensing this is a high-level negotiation, Qingji tells his assistant, Xiao Li, to leave them alone for a moment. He leans in, correctly guessing that Si Chen is a senior at the National Awakened University. He's done the math, the graduation exam is in a month, and the top prize happens to be exactly 1 million credits. Si Chen stays silent, but the intensity in his eyes confirms he has every intention of taking first place. The boss realizes his guest must be in a serious bind to be resorting to pawning his gear right before the big test. Instead of exploiting the situation, Qingji offers a better deal, 1.5 million in cash with 0 interest. He extends a hand, calling it a friendly token to build a long-term partnership with a potential powerhouse. He promises to keep the deal confidential, as long as Si Chen brings any future trades to them first. Si Chen is impressed. In his past life, this guy's savvy business sense eventually made this place the world's top trading house. They shake on it, sealing a bond that goes much deeper than a simple financial transaction. Si Chen knows that to take down his enemies, he can't just rely on himself, he needs reliable allies in high places. A golden magic circle flares up as the mana contract is officially bound between the two. A notification pops up on his phone. 1.5 million credits have just been deposited into his account. Qingji asks what he'll use for the graduation exam now that his main weapon is in lockup, offering to lend him some gear. He admits they don't have S-rank stock, but he can provide plenty of solid A-rank or B-rank equipment. Si Chen just smirks and pulls out a second, identical S-rank blade, leaving the manager completely speechless. The entire staff is paralyzed with shock. Having 1 S-rank item was crazy enough, but 2 is unheard of. They bow deeply as he walks out, treating the student like their most honored guest and a future legend. Qingji is ecstatic, immediately promoting Xiao Li for her part in keeping such a high-value client. With his funds secured, Si Chen heads to the station to meet the person he cares about most. He arrives at the busy transport hub, looking at the familiar crowds he used to avoid in his previous life. He remembers how money was always the biggest problem for him and his sister back then. Flashback, he was constantly scrambling between exhausting part-time jobs just to keep a roof over their heads. He and his sister, Xiao Yun, lived as frugally as they could, with nothing left over once the rent was paid. She had even received an acceptance letter from a prestigious art academy, a dream she was forced to give up. She stayed by his side because the school was too far away, and they couldn't afford the move, a sacrifice he never forgot. Back in the present, he checks his phone, getting anxious because his sister should have arrived by now. Suddenly, a girl with a yellow suitcase calls out to him, teasing him for losing track of time again. It's Si Yun, looking exactly as he remembers her, though she's struggling a bit with her heavy luggage. She asks why he's just standing there like he's seen a ghost, waving her hand to get his attention. Overwhelmed with emotion, Si Chen pulls her into a tight, desperate hug right there in the middle of the station. For a moment, the weight of his past life vanishes as he holds the sister he lost once before. She starts flailing and yelling, complaining that he's hugging her way too hard and making it hard to breathe. He looks at her bright, happy face and makes a silent vow that she will never have to suffer again in this life. But the peace is short-lived. In a dark alleyway nearby, trouble is already waiting. Chiang Di is there, wearing a sinister grin as he smokes and waits for our boy to pass by. He's still fuming about the rejection from earlier and is planning to rough up the brat to teach him a lesson. Our boy's cold gaze makes it clear he has no time for games, warning the thug to stop bothering him once and for all. Chiang Di, a D-rank cloud assassin, draws his glowing blade with a twisted grin, fueled by pure arrogance. Nearby, Si-Yun sips her drink and asks her brother if he's acting weird because of graduation exam stress. She encourages him to stay strong, reminding him of his own words about life being a long road of opportunities. Our boy smiles gently, realizing his sister still has no idea that he has already awakened his powers. He reassures her that he's fine, while she teases him about his stubborn male pride. In the shadows of the alley, Chiang Di's lackeys spot the two and prepare to strike, laughing about the absence of security cameras. The thugs think they're in for some easy fun, unaware of the monster they are about to face. Si Chen catches a glimpse of the ambush in his peripheral vision, his expression darkening instantly. He pulls out a pair of wireless earbuds, preparing to shield his sister from the violence to come. He gently places them in her ears, his touch careful despite the brewing conflict. He tells her he wants to share a song he's been liking lately, masking the sounds of the alleyway. Si-Yun closes her eyes, lost in the music, while Si Chen prepares to move. His eyes flare with a terrifying blue light as he turns his attention toward the approaching gang. A group of E-rank and D-rank thugs, led by Chiang Di, surround them with weapons drawn. The gang charges forward, convinced they have the upper hand against a lone student. Si Chen recalls his previous life, where he lost everything, fueling his resolve to never let it happen again. In a blur of speed and golden electricity, he strikes the first attacker with overwhelming force. Blood spatters the pavement as he dismantles the group, moving faster than their eyes can follow. A massive shockwave erupts from the center of the fray, sending the remaining thugs flying backward. Chiang Di is frozen in terror, unable to comprehend the level of power he's witnessing. Si Chen lunges forward like a predator, his hand reaching for the leader's throat. He delivers a brutal punch, sending Chiang Di spiraling through the air with teeth flying. The assassin crashes into the ground, a bloody mess of broken pride and shattered bones. Standing over his fallen foe, Si Chen looks down with cold indifference, the battle over in seconds. Chiang Di is bleeding out on the pavement, his face a mess of bruises. He finally realizes the terrifying truth. Si Chen isn't just some D-rank weakling. Si Chen grabs the thug by the collar and presses a jagged blade against his throat. He tells him to shut his mouth before things get even worse. A dark, monstrous aura erupts from the boy, his eyes glowing with a murderous red light. The cold steel bites into the skin of the trembling thug. He's crying now, completely broken and begging for his life. Si Chen leans in, his expression devoid of mercy. He warns the gang that if they ever come near his sister again, he won't hesitate to make them vanish for good. Later that night, Si-yoon sits quietly with her headphones on, tears streaming down her face as the music plays. She whispers that she hasn't been lonely because she's always had her brother by her side. Suddenly, she looks up in surprise as her brother enters the room. Si Chen holds out a small, red jewelry box with a gentle smile. He opens it to reveal a sleek, golden device resting on the velvet lining. It's a special gift just for her. Her eyes go wide as she realizes it's the latest holographic drawing pen from Dorag Corporation. This thing is worth a small fortune. She looks down at the expensive tool, feeling guilty. She knows how hard they've struggled and thinks they should probably return it. Back in the alley, the thugs are left in a heap of broken limbs, desperately gasping for someone to call an ambulance. But at home, the mood is completely different. Si-yoon is grinning from ear to ear as she draws a glowing pink fish that swims through the air. Our boy sits at the table, enjoying a bowl of his sister's fried egg noodles. It's the most peaceful he's felt in a long time. He casually mentions that the rent for the entire year is already taken care of. Si-yoon stops mid-sentence, her suspicion immediately kicking in. She leans in close, demanding to know where he's getting all this money and what kind of secrets he's keeping. He just gives her a bright, genuine smile. It's an expression she hasn't seen on his face for years. She softens up and rests her hand on his shoulder, the tension from earlier finally fading away. She tells him that whatever he's planning, he shouldn't push himself too hard. Across town, a man stands alone in front of a massive, illuminated aquarium. Gongting watches the fish swim by, reflecting on the brutal beatdown our boy handed out. He never expected the guy to actually go through with it. His companion notes that with injuries like those, their old teammate is definitely going to miss the graduation exam. We're introduced to Gong Xuan, the director of career services, who seems to have his own agenda for the university. He looks into the tank, noting that our boy's rank has officially reached C tier. The director makes it clear that they can't let anyone overshadow Gongting, especially since the big shots are coming to watch the exam. He's determined to keep his nephew in the spotlight, no matter what it takes. Gongting narrows his eyes, his cold gaze fixed on the water. Meanwhile, our boy is dripping with sweat after finishing another grueling 100-kilometer weighted run. His goal is simple: win the 1,000,000-credit scholarship and pay off the massive debt he owes to Qingzhou. Keeping his word to the broker is essential if he wants to maintain their partnership for the future. He lays back on his bed, staring at the ceiling. With less than a month until the exam, every second counts. He pulls up his interface, and the gluttony system hums back to life. He arrives at the base of a jagged red tower that looks like it was carved from bone and blood. He walks up the steps toward the dark entrance, ready for the next stage of his training. His stats flash across the screen. Level 10, rank C, mid-tier. He's making progress, but he's not satisfied yet. He looks over his Purgatory Rakshasa class, which seems to have potential far beyond what the system can even measure. The details on his other classes are still a mystery, hidden behind static and question marks. He holds up a golden key, an SSS rank item known as the Key of Time Rift. He inserts it into the air, and a massive, swirling purple vortex opens up between two ancient pillars. He steps forward, letting the portal's energy pull him in. He braces himself as the world shifts around him, fully prepared for whatever challenges wait on the other side. He steps out into the Starfall Barrens. It's a desolate wasteland under a swirling cosmic sky. The gravity hits him like a physical blow. 10 times the normal weight is almost more than his body can handle. He's pinned to the ground, every muscle straining just to keep from being crushed flat. Suddenly, a rank B phantom lion emerges from the shadows, its body glowing with an eerie starlit energy. Si Chen pulls up his status. As a level 10 Volt assassin, his speed-based skills are basically useless in this heavy atmosphere. The beast lunges. He manages to force himself up, sparks of yellow electricity crackling around his hands. He tries to counter with a lightning-fast strike, aiming for a quick finish. But the gravity makes him sluggish. His punch goes wide, failing to hit the weak point or trigger any paralysis. The lion doesn't miss. It slams into him with crushing force, pinning him against the cold, hard ground. He struggles against the beast's claws, feeling his strength rapidly fading under the dual pressure. Knowing he needs a more durable form, he triggers his class switch and transforms into the Purgatory Rakshasa. With his strength and stamina suddenly boosted, he winds up a punch that glows with destructive power. The impact is absolutely cataclysmic, sending shockwaves through the entire barrens. His power output spikes to 400% as he channels everything into this single strike. He lets out a roar as the punch is amplified 60 times over, vaporizing the monster instantly. A massive pillar of purple energy erupts from the crater, lighting up the dark landscape. The explosion levels the surrounding area, leaving nothing but dust and debris in its wake. It's finally over. He picks up the phantom lion bone he's earned, gasping for air as the dust settles. He's reached level 11. He's drenched in sweat and bruised, but the level up was worth the effort. The system breaks down how each star on his class cards acts as a multiplier for his base stats. With 11 stars, the Purgatory Rakshasa is significantly more powerful than his 9-star Volt Assassin class. Still, neither of these classes has managed to break into the B rank tier just yet. He's still got work to do. He looks down at the monster's remains, a new thought crossing his mind. He wonders why the usual devourable marker didn't appear after taking down such a strong beast. There's no door to the next floor either. He stands at the edge of a massive drop, catching his breath and looking out over the silent wasteland. Suddenly, the sky cracks open. A giant swirling dark portal appears out of nowhere. In the depths of the rift, dozens of glowing white eyes peer out. He's not alone anymore. A whole pack of phantom lions comes raining down from the portal, dropping directly onto him. He's caught completely off guard. One of the lions shreds through his shoulder before he can even react. They're everywhere. He's getting torn to pieces by the overwhelming numbers of the pack. The screen turns a violent shade of red as the monsters continue their relentless assault. His last memory is a flash of blood and the snarling jaws of the beasts closing in. He bolts upright in his dorm bed, gasping for air. The intensity of the rift was almost too much to handle. He sits there in the darkness, the reality of the brutal path he's chosen, weighing heavy on his chest. He knows there's no turning back now. He has to survive purgatory to get where he wants to be. A few weeks later, the student body gathers for the official graduation combat exam team formation ceremony. Director Gong Xuan takes the stage, looking every bit the cold, calculating official he's known to be. The students are whispering excitedly. Word has it that high-level officials from the Guild Alliance are here to scout the best recruits. Everyone's on edge because the exam rules have changed this year. Si Chen sits quietly in the crowd, observing everything. He watches the director with a stoic, disinterested expression, seemingly unaffected by the hype. Gong Xuan announces that everyone's updated rank information has just been sent directly to their wristbands. But as the students eagerly check their screens, a wave of confusion starts to spread through the hall. Something is definitely wrong with the data. The holographic leaderboard updates across the hall, prominently displaying Gong Ting's rank at the very top. Ma Long stares at his wristband in total disbelief, his eyes bulging at the data on the screen. There it is in plain cold text. Si Chen has been ranked as a lowly E lower tier. How can you possibly be just rank E lower tier? Ma Long screams, drawing everyone's attention. The nearby students begin to whisper, confused because they all remembered Si Chen being a rank C just recently. Si Chen remains stoic, but he knows that with a rank this low, finding a team for the exam will be an uphill battle. Gong Ting and a bruised Chang Di share a malicious laugh, convinced that Si Chen is finally getting what he deserves for rejecting them. From the podium, Director Gong Xuan watches with a cold, triumphant smirk, pleased that his petty sabotage has effectively disqualified his nephew's rival. Gong Ting sits back as people practically beg for a spot on his elite team. One girl even shouts about her healer class, hoping her support role is enough to get her in. With a quick fist bump, the glowing wristbands confirm their squad is officially locked in. The whole hall is a mess of students scrambling to find a group before the deadline. Si Chen's roommate is fuming, convinced the new rules were made just to screw them over. He's not wrong, this exam pretty much decides if you have a career or end up a nobody. The rules are weird. More teammates mean more monsters, so a big group isn't always a win. But try telling that to the guys who can't find a fourth person because they're too weak. As E-rank lower tiers, they're basically being tossed into the meat grinder with no backup. The reality of the situation hits the guys hard, and the mood turns pretty grim. Still, Xiang Zuo isn't about to ditch his roommates just to save his own skin. Their other friend panics when he sees that almost every high-ranked student is already taken. Si Chen keeps his cool, his eyes fixed on the man running the show at the front. That's director Gong Xuan, and given the name, it's pretty obvious he's looking out for Gong Ting. It's the classic power trip. They're rigging the system to keep the elites on top. Si Chen has had enough, and flips the switch, lightning crackling as his class transformation finishes. His roommates are losing it, completely caught off guard by the sudden power surge. He stands there in a field of sparks, daring the whole room to keep underestimating him. It's the ultimate flex, a direct challenge to everyone who called him trash. Gong Ting plays it cool, acting like he's too important to even notice the display. But our boy isn't playing around, his glowing eyes locked onto the top of the food chain. Just then, a silhouette shows up at the door, asking if they've still got an opening. It's Ling Yu, the vice president, who casually mentions she was rank D back in middle school. The guys are stunned, they can't believe a top-tier girl is actually volunteering for their team. Up at the desk, Gongxuan literally chokes on his drink at the sight of her. He watches in horror as the school's star student walks right over to the loser table. He starts yelling that exchange students don't have the right to join the local graduation exam. Before things get out of hand, a massive purple aura floods the room. Principal Yuan Long appears out of nowhere, asking why there's so much noise over a student joining a team. Our boy is genuinely impressed, wondering how a warrior-class guy pulled off a teleport like that. Ling Yu just gives a little shrug, acting like it's a huge bummer if she can't play along. The two old guys face off, and you can practically feel the tension in the air. Gong Xuan immediately starts backpedaling, stammering about how they just want to follow the rules. The principal isn't buying it, giving him a look that says he knows exactly what the director is up to. Gong Xuan is sweating buckets now, terrified his little system rigging scheme has been caught. He pulls a total 180, bowing and agreeing that they should definitely fix any mistakes in the rules. He announces to the whole hall that anyone can register now, regardless of rank or team size. The roommates are hyped, immediately nominating our boy to be their team captain. Ling Yu and the principal share a look, both of them clearly keeping an eye on Si Chen now. It's officially on the untouchable elite versus the bottom-tier squad that's out for blood. The principal smirks, wondering just how much chaos this kid is about to cause. A staff member steps up to explain that the captain gets to pick whichever demon lair they want. As soon as the submission pings the system, the administration nearly jumps out of their seats. The news spreads like wildfire. Everyone can't believe Si Chen's team actually made their move. People are calling him insane, shouting for him to cancel it before he gets himself and his whole squad killed. Si Chen doesn't flinch, his gaze as cold and sharp as the blade he's about to draw. The graduation exam isn't a game. It's the first time these students will face real bloodthirsty monsters in a group. Points are tallied for clear rate, boss kills, and how fast you can make it out alive. Most teams play it safe with F-rank layers to guarantee a decent score without too much risk. But an E-rank layer offers a massive multiplier, pushing the potential score way higher. It's the difference between barely passing and standing on top of a mountain of demon corpses. Plus, the team MVP lands a dream job at the Imperial Guild and a cool $1 million prize. Everyone expects Gong Ting's elite team to shatter the school record and take it all. But then, a student checks the updated registration list and nearly drops his tablet in shock. The glow of the wristband confirms a choice that seems like a total suicide mission. A D-rank lair, something no graduating class in the history of the school has ever managed to clear. Si Chen's teammates are having a total meltdown, begging him to tell them he just hit the wrong button. One of them is already on the floor, wondering how he got stuck with a literal lunatic. The system prompt hangs in the air, asking for their final confirmation to enter the death trap. Si Chen doesn't hesitate, telling them he's thought this through and knows exactly what he's doing. Another ping, and the squad's status officially shifts to confirmed. Gong Ting's team also locks in, but for the first time, all eyes are on the underdog. The crowd is losing it. 2 D-rank selections in 1 year is unheard of. The elite squad watches the screen, looking more annoyed than impressed by the competition. They laugh it off, assuming Si Chen's teammates will chicken out and switch groups at the last second. But Ma Long stops shouting, noticing a look of absolute certainty in Si Chen's eyes. He decides to put his life on the line, choosing to stick with his friend until the bitter end. Xiang Zuo sighs and hits the button too, figuring he might as well see a D-rank lair before he dies. He tries to maintain some dignity, even though he's internally screaming about being the last one to agree. The last teammate joins in, deciding that if they're graduating, they might as well go out with a bang. It's official. Si-chen's team is locked, loaded, and heading into the most dangerous zone possible. They stand together, the losers of the academy, ready to face the impossible. Si-chen quietly apologizes for dragging them into this, admitting he needs that MVP title. He knows the risk is massive, and he's not taking their loyalty for granted. Meanwhile, Gongting is already walking toward the entrance, convinced the prize belongs to him. He's glowing with power, obsessed with proving he's the strongest student the school has ever seen. Ling Yu watches him go, noting that she's never seen him look this intense before. Principal Yuan Long just chuckles from the observation deck, admiring the fearless spirit of the youth. Still, the vice president can't help but feel that our boy is being way too cocky. A D-rank lair offers a 3x multiplier, but the difficulty spike is beyond anything they've trained for. On paper, this choice is pure insanity and a total waste of potential. Most students spend their final days in high-tech simulation rooms, practicing elemental combos on fake monsters. The staff can only hope our boys' team manages to put up a decent fight before they have to be rescued. But while the elites are in VR, our boy has his teammates on the ground doing grueling physical drills. Our boy explains to his team that simple practice and simulations won't be enough when they face the real thing. He tells them that, in an unknown lair, theory is meaningless when fear starts to flood your senses. When a monster's maw opens in front of you, the only thing that matters is your survival instinct. He pushes them to understand that this grueling training is the only way to sharpen those instincts. The elites at the top of the school have been training like this their entire lives. They stay at the pinnacle because they are prepared for the absolute worst-case scenarios. Our boy knows that the elite families possess wealth and power that others can only dream of. His roommates look at him in shock, realizing just how wide the gap between them and the favorites truly is. But Si-chen doesn't plan on staying at the bottom. He intends to shatter the class barriers. He reminds them that the graduation exam is their one and only chance to change their lives forever. It's the ultimate opportunity to overtake those who were born into privilege. Si-chen's eyes burn with an intense, red resolve as he promises his team that they will win. In his mind, he's already fighting, visualizing every movement and every strike against demonic foes. The reality of training is far less glamorous. As he forces his exhausted friends to run lap after lap, every visualization is a step toward perfection, making every blow he strikes in his mind feel real. He sees his imaginary blade cutting through the darkness, forging his path with every swing. Si-chen continues his relentless push-ups, sweating and grinding while his teammates struggle to keep up. He imagines himself as a high-level warrior, a silhouette of power standing amidst a sea of flames. The vision of him as a Volt assassin slaying demons becomes clearer with every ounce of effort he puts in. Covered in sweat and blood, Si-chen prepares himself for the real battle that is about to begin. A surveillance drone waits in standby mode, ready to monitor the start of the exams. Finally, the day arrives. The team is geared up and standing before the gateway to the trial. The portal hums to life, turning blue as it establishes a connection to the demon lair. Principal Yuan Long greets the arriving dignitaries who have come to witness the school's potential. Gong Lin, the co-founder of the Imperial Guild and father of Gong Ting, makes a confident entrance. Students gather at the windows, whispering in awe at the prestigious figures arriving on campus. Carl Cavendish, vice chairman of the World Guild Alliance, arrives in a sleek, luxury vehicle. Looking composed and impeccably dressed, Cavendish checks his watch as he prepares to judge the students. The students are shocked to see such legendary figures in person, their excitement reaching a fever pitch. The dignitaries are ushered inside, as the live broadcast of the graduation combat exam is about to begin. A massive wall of screens lights up, showing the various teams as they enter their respective lairs. Sigrid, the Secretary General of the Guild Alliance, watches the monitors with a sharp, professional eye. Cavendish makes himself comfortable, treating the high-stakes exam like just another show to enjoy. In the control room, the staff prepares for the first round of encounters in the lower-rank lairs. In an F-rank lair, a team is already having a difficult time dealing with a thornjaw salamander. The situation escalates quickly as a much larger and more dangerous version of the beast lunges at them. Meanwhile, a different team in an E-rank lair finds themselves stuck in thick, sticky webs. A terrifying stag beetle spider descends from the ceiling, its glowing eyes fixed on the trapped students. One student is paralyzed with fear, realizing that the real lair is nothing like their training sessions. The administration watches the portal intently, ready to intervene if things get out of hand. The spider lunges at a student, whose screams of terror are echoed by his helpless teammate. Panicked, the student activates his wristband's emergency function and is immediately withdrawn from the exam. Students who find themselves overwhelmed are teleported out of the exam area, glowing red as they are pixelated and safely removed from the danger. The vice president and the VIP guests, including Gong Lin and Carl Cavendish, observe the culling with clinical detachment from the safety of the control room. Principal Yuan Long watches the feeds closely, his expression grave as he assesses the survival rate of the examinees in the more lethal zones. Deep within a snowbound D-rank lair, Si Chen leads his teammates, Ma Long and Xiang Zuo, through a desolate, frozen wilderness. The group comes to a sudden halt as they sense movement in the trees above, with dozens of shadowy figures lurking amongst the icicles. A swarm of ghost bat monkeys, known as D-rank cloud assassins, reveals itself, ready to descend upon the intruders. Si Chen stands his ground, his red eyes narrowing as he waits for the inevitable ambush to begin. The monkeys dive from the branches with blinding speed, their screeching cries filling the air as they launch a coordinated aerial assault. The speed of the attack is overwhelming, sending one of the team members reeling as a monster strikes with enough force to knock him back. Xiang Zuo is thrown through the air, completely unable to track the fast-moving creatures as they swarm the group. Ma Long falls to the ground in a panic, cowering as the monsters surround them, his training completely forgotten in the face of such predatory ferocity. With a crackle of yellow lightning, Si Chen stands over the bloodied remains of a ghost bat monkey, having neutralized the threat before his friends could even blink. Our boy tells his teammates to stay back, warning them that they aren't strong enough to handle these monsters yet. He doesn't wait for an answer before launching himself into the air, moving like a bolt of lightning. Ma Long can only watch in shock, barely able to keep track of his speed. Our boy rips through the ghost bat monkeys, his hands glowing with yellow electricity as he shreds them apart. He's a blur on the battlefield, zigzagging between the trees and leaving a trail of monster parts in his wake. Xiang Zuo is stunned, finally realizing that Ma Long wasn't exaggerating about our boy's power. Our boy looks down with cold eyes, his strength far beyond anything a normal student should possess. The yellow flashes continue as he systematically wipes out the remaining swarm. Xiang Zuo spots a monkey attempting a sneak attack and screams out a warning, but Ma Long is already on it, blocking the beast's claws with his own glowing hands. He realizes they can't just stand by and watch forever. They have to pull their own weight. Xiang Zuo agrees, the two of them deciding it's time to join the fight for real. Ma Long shouts as he channels his power, his eyes lighting up with intensity. He activates his vine chain skill, sending massive, dark roots erupting from the ground. The vines coil around the monkey in midair, pinning it down so it can't escape. Seeing the opening, Xiang Zuo prepares his frost gust to freeze the target in place. He thrusts his hand forward, unleashing a blast of icy energy that coats everything in frost. The combo skill works perfectly, trapping the ghost bat monkey in a cage of vines and ice. Ma Long isn't done yet, leaping forward with a blazing fire trailing from his fist. The monkey screams as the heat hits it, its frozen body shattering under the impact. He keeps the pressure on, firing off several shells of concentrated flame. Xiang Zuo grits his teeth, pouring the rest of his mana into the attack to finish it. Ma Long gathers a massive sphere of fire above his head, preparing his strongest move. A massive explosion rocks the peak, incinerating the last of the monkeys in a pillar of fire. The exam drone hovers over the clearing, announcing that the monsters have been defeated. The two of them collapse in exhaustion, thrilled that they actually managed to take one down. They check the loot, finding a finger bone dropped by the ghost bat monkey. Our boy stands nearby, covered in blood and sparks, looking like he's barely broken a sweat. The drone confirms that all regular monsters in the lair have been cleared out. Back in the observation room, Gong Xuan is sweating, unable to comprehend how a trash student is doing this. The other examiners stay quiet, their eyes fixed on the impressive display on the monitors. Sitting among them is a mysterious young man, with freckles and purple hair, watching the feed with a faint smile. He seems genuinely amused, leaning his head on his hand as he focuses on our boy. He whispers the protagonist's name to himself, clearly marking him as a person of interest. Sensing the tension, Gong Xuan frantically tries to direct everyone's attention to another screen. On the main feed, Gong Ting is showing off, effortlessly slicing through enemies with twin blades. The vice president adjusts her glasses, noting that Gong Ting's team has almost perfect coordination. Gong Xuan smirks, confident that the real challenge hasn't even started for the students yet. A horde of massive miasma shrooms appears on the screen, their mouths wide open and dripping with poison. The system labels them as D-rank flora warriors, dangerous monsters with high defensive capabilities. A member of Gong Ting's team steps forward with a guitar, activating the flora chant, Elegy of Decay. Purple sonic waves blast outward, instantly rotting the mushroom monsters into nothing but dust. Gong Ting prepares his next move, his eyes glowing with an intense, fiery power. He unleashes his blazing skybreak, a devastating explosion of flame that incinerates everything in its path. As a C-rank core warrior, he's a leagues above the other students, and he knows it. His elite team stands tall in the aftermath, led by the arrogant Gong Cheng. They're already moving on, eager to track down the boss and end this exam as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, our boy leads his team through a blinding blizzard at the Cloud Forest summit. They reach the highest point of the peak, a high-risk D-rank lair where only the strongest survive. The guardian of the summit is the Ice Ghost Ape, a massive beast covered in the scars of 1,000 battles. Xiang Zuo is paralyzed with terror, unable to move as the monster looms over them. The ape glares at its new prey, its glowing red eyes filled with pure bloodlust. Xiang Zuo lets out a panicked scream as the beast lets out a deafening roar. It lunges forward with terrifying speed, a wall of muscle and fur destined for the slaughter. But Xichen is faster, his leg connecting with the ape's face in a spray of blood and shattered bone. The impact sends the massive monster spiraling through the air, completely overwhelmed by the single blow. He doesn't give it a chance to recover, ending the fight with a final, lightning-charged strike. Xiang Zuo and Ma Long stare in disbelief, having just witnessed a boss monster get taken down like an ant. They obtain some ice ape fur from the corpse, but the system's reward is barely worth mentioning. Xichen looks at the loot with pure disgust, finding it insulting that such a boss would drop trash. They spot a faint glowing light coming from a deep hollow in a nearby tree trunk. Inside is a horde of high-grade magic crystals, pulsing with an incredible amount of mana. Ma Long lets out a joyous laugh and reaches for the crystals, thinking they've hit the jackpot. But Xichen's veteran instincts scream at him that this is far too easy to be a coincidence. He turns around just as the trap is triggered, his eyes widening in realization. An ice burst bomb detonates instantly, engulfing the entire team in a massive freezing explosion. Ma Long is caught in the blast and instantly encased in a solid, jagged block of ice. Back at the control room, the monitor flashes red as the signal from our boys' team is suddenly severed. Director Gong Xuan looks down at his mustache, his confidence wavering as he loses his eyes in the field. The mysterious young man with freckles doesn't look away, intrigued by the sudden disappearance of the team. The examiners are in a panic, but Gong Xuan stays silent, his gaze fixed on the wall of screens. He tries to keep a straight face, but the sweat on his brow betrays his growing anxiety. In the frozen dungeon, a heavy silence falls over the peak, broken only by the whistling wind. Xiang Zuo huddles on the ground, his teeth chattering uncontrollably from the unnatural cold. He looks at his frozen teammates, barely able to process what just happened as the temperature continues to drop. Emerging from the fog is a skeletal king, draped in a tattered black cloak and crowned with ice. Xiang Zuo gasps in horror, realizing that the ice ghost ape was nothing more than a puppet for this monster. This is the Bone King of Frozen Remains, a rare rank C Lord-class monster that shouldn't even be here. It looks down at the frozen boy with glowing blue eyes, its ancient face twisted into a cruel grin. The king raises a skeletal hand, and the very air around them seems to solidify into weapons. With a sudden flick, it fires a sharp bone spike that tears through the air with a whistle. The monster lets out a hollow, mocking laugh as it begins to toy with its terrified prey. The spike pierces straight through Xiang Zuo's leg, pinning him to the ground as he screams in agony. Xiang Zuo reaches out with trembling hands, desperately trying to use his magic on the block of ice trapping our boy. He screams in agony as the bone spike remains embedded in his leg, the freezing pain radiating through his entire body. His attempt to heal himself is met with a cold system notification. Purification failed. The Bone King of Frozen Remains looks down at him, its skeletal face twisted into a mocking, hollow laugh. Xiang Zuo huddles on the ground, clutching his bloodied leg and shivering in the extreme cold of the summit. A system prompt appears before his eyes, offering him a final way out. Do you wish to abandon the exam? He stares at the message with a mixture of fear and hesitation, his breath hitching in his throat. He remembers the times he was bullied and looked down upon by his peers back at the academy. The memories of their laughter and his past failures fuel a sudden, desperate resolve within him. His eyes glow with a new light as he refuses to abandon his teammate or his future. He pours every remaining ounce of his mana into his source of purification skill, targeting the ice block once more. The blue light of his magic clashes against the frozen prison, a frantic struggle against the Bone King's power. He collapses from the sheer exhaustion of the effort, watching the ice closely as fine cracks begin to spread across its surface. Suddenly, the entire block shatters in a massive explosion of brilliant golden light and energy. The golden aura clears, revealing our boy standing unharmed, the ice having completely melted away from his presence. Xiang Zuo looks up in relief, sweating despite the sub-zero temperatures as he sees his teammate. Our boy looks back at him with intense, glowing red eyes, his voice calm yet heavy with power. Are your injuries okay? Xiang Zuo is momentarily stunned by the transformation in Xichen's aura, which now feels incredibly ancient and dangerous. The Bone King of Frozen Remains isn't done yet, summoning a massive shard of ice from the sky to finish them both. Xiangzuo screams as the shadow of the falling ice shard engulfs them, certain that this is the end. The shard detonates in a blinding explosion of blue light, leveling everything in the surrounding area. The Bone King watches the carnage with cold satisfaction, convinced its prey has been eliminated. But from the center of the frozen crater, a new, terrifying presence begins to emerge from the mist. Xichen stands completely unaffected by the blast, his body now wreathed in a swirling aura of blue flame. The Bone King's hollow jaw drops in shock as it senses the overwhelming, monstrous power radiating from the human. Xiangzuo can only stare in awe, unable to comprehend the level of power Xichen is currently exhibiting. He realizes that Xichen might be one of those legendary 1 in 10,000 talents that the legends speak of. Xichen's appearance shifts, a jagged skeletal mask forming over half of his face as his energy peaks. The system initializes a hidden class switching process, the loading bar filling with a dark, crackling energy. Now fully transformed into the Doomflame King, Xichen brandishes a massive, jagged sword. "I'll finish him off right away."